when you talk about see the people, as I used to interview people about this, what does that mean to you? How can agents see people better? What sources should they be using to get in front of people?
Sure. Yeah.
In your opinion? Because if they don't get in front of people,
right,
you're never going to make it.
Yeah. I mean, it's simple, but it's complicated, right? Mm-hmm. Like all sales woes come from the lack of prospecting. If you're not out there knocking on doors, making phone calls, filling your time, trying to find buyers,
yes,
then you're going to fail. Everything works to a certain degree. Some things work better than others. Of course, I have my preferences for things like face-to-face final expense versus telesales.
Yep.
But the core of it is going to be a large volume of prospects. It always is. And if you don't have that component, then you're really shortchanging yourself. You're not giving yourself the best odds of success. I tell agents all the time, if I took like an average agent who ran 15 appointments a week and closed half of them, versus a Tony Robbins, charismatic, energetic, just a compelling personality, but he only ran 3 appointments and closed all 3. I'd rather have the average guy because he works harder.
100%.
And you got to have the numbers in your favor. It's like playing the odds, and you have to be committed to that because it's next to impossible to close, 50% to 100% of your leads. Unless you got some special mousetrap, which most of us don't. We're working.
You don't have one?
I don't.
By now?
No. My special mousetrap is understanding that fundamental prospecting is king.
Yes. If you had to say over the years, and maybe it don't even exist anymore, what was or is your favorite lead source?
It's still direct mail.
Yeah.
For final expense, direct mail for sure.
It's hard to beat it.
It is.
Literally, you're mailing it. They're getting it. They're filling it out. They're signing it. They're reading it. And they're walking it back to the mailbox.
Right.
It's hard to interpret that. You know what I mean? Like, that's hard to duplicate.
Sure. But, agents have success with different lead sources for sure. Again, with the right quantity. Because there are some natural hang-ups with certain lead sources that you get with one versus the other. And you just can't shortchange it.
What's the quantity? What's like the perfect quantity? I'm not saying there is, but you know what I mean? Like,
so for final expense, if I were full-time, I would take no less than 30 a week. Okay? Probably would do more.
No less
knowing
than
me.
30 per
Yes,
week. Well, you would definitely do more, yeah. But, But in general, so what's the average cost, would you say?
Depending on the state, 35 to 45 a lead. Definitely has gone up more. But
So
it's an investment.
$40 on average?
Yeah,
each?
I think that's a
for
good place
a good
to
one.
start.
I mean, you can get cheap ones and you can get.
Correct. Right.
Do you like the Walmart $5 Walmart gift card lead?
I did really well with those. But mine said life insurance on it, so
there you go.
That's another variable. What does the card say?
Yes.
But on some level, people the people are gonna buy are gonna respond to all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And the thing with the more generic leads that people complain about, which I understand, but you have to understand the nature of the direct mail. It's leverage. Mm-hmm. It's leverage to get in. And so there's a certain way you work a lead to just get a presentation. Because the one thing that a more generic lead will do for you is get you in the doors of people who would never send out a life insurance card. And then they're like, hey, I've got so-and-so company. I'm fine, but it's actually overpriced, and you can replace it, but now you're in the door, and you have an opportunity that probably nobody else will ever get into because, they don't know how to rebuttal and get through that process. So, so I bring this up because you mentioned the generic, the Walmart, and there's different variations. But I think everybody fundamentally has to understand these are opportunities to just get in. There's a serendipitous outcome in many occasions just by getting in the door and talking to people.
Yeah. If you think about it any differently, you're setting yourself up for failure for sure. Right. That's good. So $40 each on average, whatever, right? Different states.
Right, sure.
Not all the same. $30, 30 leads minimum. That's $1,200 a week. Mm-hmm. What should the average agent out there, what should happen? Because I'm going somewhere. What should happen from that $1,200 spend?
I think, I would want that agent to close 20 to 25. And I'm being realistic here. Agents do better than this. Agents do worse than this. So this is like challenging but achievable, what I'm describing here.
Good.
I'd want them to close 20 to 25% of those leads, so 6 to 8 roughly.
Yep.
Average premium, if you sell the premium like we do, or if you talk about inflation to help kind of build the need more, I think it should be $800 in premium.
I do too.
As far as an average case, some will be smaller, some will be bigger, but this is how it is.
Yes, just under $70 a month. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and the outcome would be cash flowing. I'd want to see an agent cash flow 2.5 to 3 to 1, meaning after it's issue paid next week or two, you should get that much up front. And then for the totality of the year, 4 to 1 would be the goal, cash flow. But agents do better than that. But again, I'm being stressed the realistic aspect of this.
Yes.
And those are numbers that you can scale with really, really well.
Totally. I mean, $4,800. This you're not even including commission rates, right? But you in advance, $3,600 plus, right? Worst case scenario, typically,
right?
Off of a $1,200, 3 to 1 investment. Why wouldn't, so let's just say that an agent's out there with no money, but they know they should do this. What would you say to that?
Yeah, good question. So it's tough.
This is the answer.
The answer is easy.
Most don't even do this.
Yeah, correct. Right. So there's a couple options here. One, you could do something called seminar marketing. This is where you go into senior living facilities, do 10, 15 educational events. Education naturally sells, so you'll get people who want to buy from you. They cost as little to nothing to run. They're all over the place. It's a great way to basically build a war chest so that you can do what we've described. You can do something in the middle and say do some kind of digital lead. One of the things that digital leads do is it's a faster turnaround. The weakness of fresh direct mail is it takes weeks to get. Facebook or digital leads take days, right? So it's a little more cash flow friendly.
Yep.
So these are the things I would do in the meantime. The other option would be something like maybe possibly getting a part-time job and just saving.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with this. This business is so awesome. It's worth taking the time to do it right.
No doubt about that.
So if it takes a couple extra months to Uber or wait tables, whatever, it's 100% worth it.
So what if somebody, so in this example, should they be investing $1,200 every week?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah.
So, okay, if that's the case, how long does it take for the mail to come back?
3 or 4 weeks.
Okay. And then how long after that for them to get paid?
A couple days.
Okay. That's quick. That's good. So especially with what you're doing, right?
Yeah, for sure.
If you think through that, they're probably looking at $4,800 minimum without getting any money back. Is that fair? Maybe $6,000. It's interesting because most people come in the industry without $6,000, $4,800. However, they should be doing this every week. What do you think about getting a credit card and putting on a credit card every week?
That's what I did.
Okay.
As my last, and look, not saying you should do this, your decision.
Yeah.
I had hang-ups about this for years.
Put legal disclaimers.
Well, just, I don't like debt. That's my personal thing. I've been in plenty of it not to like it.
Yeah.
My last credit card, I had the Discover card. The other 4 were maxed out. This one had $4,000 on it. This is in 2011. Leads are a little less expensive. And I said, you know what?
5 total credit cards?
Yeah.
This is
this
2011.
is the 5th one. But the other 4 were filled up from the last business that failed. So 2011 had the last card, 4,000 line. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to do this and see what happens. If I got to file bankruptcy, no big deal. Just start over.
Were you really? Would you have?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, sure. Cool. I mean, I remember reading.
Nobody wants to, obviously.
No,
right?
No. But I remember reading in a Dan Kennedy book, he said, the number one thing most millionaires have in common is they went broke at some point.
Yeah. The OG of copywriting, by the way.
Yeah.
Dude, freaking brilliant marketer. I was reading one of his, I think it was Speak to Sell, one of his old books. Yeah. I've got it on right here on my phone. It's good. Okay, so one credit card with $4,000 on it. Walk us through what you did and how you did it, and then how you apparently you financially recovered.
Yeah,
right? Got a nice suit on. You're making a bunch of money. You don't have a bunch of maxed out credit cards today.
Sure.
Well,
I started buying leads, and this is the one thing I'll say on top of all of this. This is kind of the coding around it. You have to make sales in your first week if you're made for this business. I do not think, and this is one of the things about final expense that makes it really appealing, that you testing the opportunity is very simple.
Yep.
You train for a couple of weeks, you get prepared, you study your script, you role play, you do everything necessary, understand your carriers. And that first week, you better make a sale, or this just isn't for you. Because I don't want you or anybody else throwing good money after bad.
Yes.
Right? So my personal opinion is that you should be making sales. I did on my 5th appointment on the first day.
Wow. This was back 2011.
Yeah, like June 1st, 2011. I ran 4 appointments, didn't get anywhere, hot June night, last appointment in a trailer in the middle of Wildwood, Georgia.
You drove to Georgia, or were you living there?
I live, well, Tennessee's right next door, so it's just down there.
Okay.
The wasp flying around, closed the guy on $100 a month premium. Was like, I made like $900. That was more than I make like in 2 weeks of training. I'm sold, man. But you need to have that experience, I really think, because it's hard to convince a rational person to keep throwing money after something that's not working, right?
Yes.
You have to see some success.
Yes. So if they don't, right, $1,200, they don't, maybe they get 30 leads. They don't close one. What do you recommend?
If they can honestly say,
and they probably can't.
Right.
You guys didn't work them. Come on.
If they honestly trained, if they honestly prepared, then it's either my agency's not a good fit for them. Perhaps maybe they're better suited for another product or another style, maybe telesales or instead of face-to-face or vice versa. But if they're not really getting any, if they're not getting any results, don't do it anymore.
What are some of the questions you would ask them?
As far as
like when they're just not making sales.
How many?
And they invested money.
Okay, you got leads. How many appointments did you run?
Okay.
Usually it's 5.
Yeah.
Well, there's a problem.
Yes.
We don't need to go any further.
Yes.
Just run the appointments.
Correct.
Right? So that would be number one. If they ran the appointment, and this is rare, it even gets further than this.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why activity is everything.
Totally.
If they ran 15 appointments, they're probably going to sell something. Right? They buy 30 leads. We expect 15 appointments set by phone in combination with door knocking those leads for a face-to-face final expense agent. If they didn't close 15 and I sat there and listened to them and walked them through, maybe they recorded a presentation for me to listen to get some ideas. If this were the case, and it usually isn't, but if it was, I might tell them it's not for them. 15 appointments that send off the best leads and you didn't sell any, and you earnestly try, it's probably not for you.
Yeah.
And it's okay. It's not for everybody.
And you've had that over the years, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
But at least you will have an honest conversation with somebody. Some you're like, you would really do that. Well, dude, it's better to be honest with somebody and like they wake up and change or they just move on or they're just not meant to be than to just keep, all these other companies out there, they just keep pandering people and making them think that they're freaking great.
Right. Yeah. No,
if they're not.
No, this isn't meant, this is an extraordinary, if you want extraordinary income, you have to have extraordinary skill.
Yeah.
And discipline and consistency. It's a simple business,
That's
but it's
the big
complicated.
thing.
Yeah. That 100%. It's the devil's in the details. It's the execution of the strategy over time for most.
Hey, if you enjoyed this, I got another one you're going to love. It's right there. Click on it. See you in there.
When I first joined and decided to kind of jump in, it was kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And I remember being out in the field. I went to my first home, my second home, my third home, and it was by the end of that